Valid. It's true. No, agreed. Let's jump into our last topic. I think let's try to not spend a super amount of time on this, but I don't know we're gonna be able to pull that off. Just based on the kind of the gravity of this last topic. We're near the All-Star break, and let's preview All-Star weekend. So we have this coming Friday. We have the Rising Stars, the Celebrity Game. Saturday, we have All Star Weekend, and that's going to be the 3-point contest. I think that's going to be the highlight of All Star Weekend. To be honest, this is a killer field. Devin Booker, Knipple, Damian Lillard is in this, even though he tore his ACL and hasn't played. Am I correct here? I'm like, why is he in this 3-point contest? And a dude hasn't played. But I digress.
Maybe.
Tyrese Maxey, Donovan Mitchell, Jamal Murray, Bobby Portis Jr., and Norman Powell. This is a killer field. So to me, this is, I think, the highlight of the weekend. You have Shooting Stars making its return. Team All-Stars Scotty Barnes, Chet Holmgren, and Richard Hamilton. Team Cameron is Jalen Johnson, Con Knuppel, and Corey Maggette. Team Harper, which is the Harpers, Dylan Harper, Ron Harper Jr., and Ron Harper Sr., and Team Knicks, Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, and Allen Houston. We have the dunk contest. Carter Bryant, Jackson Hayes, Kashid Johnson, and Jace Richardson. So overall, you have the All-Star game, and I won't read you the rosters, but I'll break down basically this new format. You have 2 USA teams, 1 world team. We'll play in a round-robin tournament consisting of 4 12-minute games with the top 2 teams advancing to the night's final main event championship game. With this concept, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, I think a lot of the basketball world has been negative on this concept, combined with a lot of negativity towards Adam Silver. I think over the past couple of years, I would say this is the most negative I've seen fan reactions been towards Silver since he's been commissioner. His Q rating's been awfully high, and he's been getting hammered on multiple fronts. And the latest comes in what we teased earlier with tanking. And this took place between the Utah Jazz and Miami Heat February 9th, in which, Utah's trio was sat in the fourth quarter with the victory in sight. So I think there's a lot of issues going on with this league right now. And I just want to get your guys' kind of feelings overall with just the NBA and how you guys feel about this league. Take it any way you want it. In terms of tanking, just kind of the new media paradigm. You see some people complain about, hey, there's a game on Peacock, there's a game on ESPN, there's a game on Amazon Prime, game on ESPN, I can't keep it straight. What are your guys' overall kind of feelings in terms of this league so far? Heading into the break where it seems to be very negative. Alan, I'll let you kick us off.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this. So the tanking stuff. Victory wasn't just in sight, Justin. They had a 13-point lead, and lost by 3, by not playing their best 3 players in the fourth quarter. I get tanking, and there's a whole thing about ethical tanking, right? Where like Oklahoma City or Houston, you just have young bad players, and you play them, and they stink it up, but they learn as they go. But it really just sits wrong with me a little bit that the tanking continues to go on, and they haven't figured out a way to make it more competitive in the middle. The other thing that I think is really bugging me is, the CBA between the NBA and the NBA Players Association is supposed to, at some point, a lot of the ownership, I think, didn't like the player movement, and we're trying to figure out ways to keep players where they were. And I think fans like that to a certain extent. And I'm not talking about the people like us who are on Twitter, on social media, excited about the trades and laughing and following along. Like, the fan base in a city likes some stability, and we've left that era far behind. So many people changed teams last week that I still don't have an idea where some people are playing right now. And I think that's kind of sad. Not only are you seeing like major people traded, but you're seeing like a lot of on the fringe moves that you normally would never see. You go back to the 80s and the 90s, and you saw trades for big players you really didn't see these on the fringe trades of assets. And I think that's what's happened is it's become uh, a byproduct of the CBA is that the trade deadline has become a game of asset management, um, uh, getting below aprons, saving money on the tax, and I think to a casual fan, somebody who just wants to support their team, I think it feels just weird and gross. They don't understand why that person was traded. They don't understand. A lot of times those guys who are at the end of the bench are fan favorites, and people cheer when they come into the game, and all of a sudden you can't even count on them being there. So I think Silver. I feel like the league is kind of not been as strong as it was when David Stern was in charge. And I don't think that's a wild opinion. I think Silver has caved into ownership and caved. It, he just doesn't seem like he's got a strong vision for where this game can be. The other thing, and this is the last thing, this All-Star weekend, I mean, come on, East versus West. Don't muck it up. East versus West, but make the outcome matter. That'll push it. Make the outcome matter. Have home court be whoever wins the All-Star game. Make it matter. That's a simple fix. The other part on that is that he's got all these social media influencers coming in to do the all-star stuff this weekend, and they're gonna put them over journalists as people to promote the game.
Yeah,
It's
I'm gonna ask you this.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, Justin. It's ridiculous. I mean, they don't even know basketball. There's all these stories about these influencers have no idea what they're doing. They're like they don't want to talk to somebody because they're afraid they might be a bad player. I don't know. It's just dumb. I mean, Matt, what do you think?
Damn, Alan. Somebody cool Alan off, because this man is
Right.
on fire. I got 2 points, 2 main points, and then I'll elaborate. First thing I want to say, David Stern, may God rest his soul. I really, really miss him. I really miss David Stern, and you touched on that, Alan. I think in the way that he could navigate the league and all the different parties involved that had to be negotiated with, man, we are missing David Stern. It's pretty apparent now he was a stronger leader than Adam Silver, and we're missing that big time. And I think that's one of the things that has caused erosion. I think another thing, more money, more problems. That's my second point. I think we are at a time, a lot of the media, including maybe sometimes myself, are guilty of thinking that the NBA, like making more money off of TV deals and things like that, means that the league and the product is in a better place. Those two things are not the same, and we have seen the product suffer over time. And at some point, maybe the deals will always continue to go up. Maybe some of that is inflation. I don't know, but you just can't tell me. And a lot of fans feel the same way I do. I really, in 2025, watching basketball, that's last year, compared to like 2015, watching basketball is just so much more compelling on so much more of a regular basis. And there are so many factors that go into that. And I don't want to bore you and our listeners and viewers going through each one of those points, but you can point to a number of things. I think a lot of people who fell in love with the game, myself being one of them, sees how this product has transformed, sees that, I can spend $500 to go see the Denver Nuggets and then maybe not see the players on that team and or the visiting team be there. Look, I'll narrow this down and then I'll shut up. I think you take all these factors in, and what you saw from David Stern, let's not forget, like, he blocked trades. He did things where he was like, hey, I'm the commissioner. This looks like a bad deal. Agree or disagree with me. I don't care. I think this is going to hurt the game, and I'm going to do it. And part of, I think, what he had more awareness of and more sympathy for compared to Adam Silver is the fan experience and the connection to the fans. I think there is just a massive rift between owners, players, and then down at the fan level. There's just a disconnect now. And I think All-Star Weekend, there is no greater symbol and example of that weekend in itself. And Justin, Allen, we've talked about it, like the corporate level stuff that is the focus of All-Star Weekend. Like it is just a blockade, like trying to keep fans out of that thing. So it's like you have this, fans put in all their effort, and like the NBA really encourages you, like, hey, vote for this player for All-Star Week. And then we, the fans who maybe took that time to vote for our favorite player in the hopes of seeing them, like, we're basically, you're not blocked in, but like, let's be real. If the All-Star game could come to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I would not pay to go see it. It just would not make any sense for me to do that. I would love to attend an All-Star game, but I'm a little bit priced out of that, and I know many other people are. I know many people share that sympathy, so I apologize. I'm ranting, but there's just a massive disconnect there, and it irks me. And right now, like, it's probably a good weekend for the NBA All-Star Game to be as weird and goofy as it is right now, where, like, Justin, you explaining the format, and if you went into it more with like, oh, you got to win this and then you advance to this, like it's a good weekend for a format like that, because I can just watch Winter Olympics, I can like enjoy Valentine's Day, do that kind of stuff.
Agreed.
And
Agreed.
NBA, I love you, I do, but man, we got to do several things here differently. And look, under strong leadership, like Adam Silver could wave his hand like in a day, like with things like instant replay at the end of games that's driving fans nuts. Plenty of other examples of things you could point to. He could wave his hand and do it, but we haven't seen that happen. So, you guys can already tell just based on my rant. I do think criticism is justified. I do think there needs to be changes to improve the sport. And with that, I will finally silence. My apologies. I let the cat out of the bag there a little bit. I'm calm, well-adjusted Matt again, okay?
Well, I feel you, Matt. And that's why I think it's irritating when I hear people criticize the NBA for being too political, because this is not about politics. This is about the product on the floor. And all those reasons that you mentioned, Matt, is the quality of the product that people are going to pay money for. And so I think with Adam Silver, I think he's really lost touch with what the fans want in terms of what fans want to see. And I think he's a big idea person. I think he wants the league to be more in touch with pop culture and not what's happening on the floor. Like what you mentioned, Alan, what you mentioned, Matt, is what fans really want in terms of what the NBA should be. I think what Adam Silver wants is globalization. He wants the league to be connected to social media. He wants the league to be connected to betting. He wants the league to be cutting edge. And those things are external to what the actual product is on the floor. And I think for years, what people have been complaining about is the season's too long. And I agree with Bill Simmons, the season needs to be shortened. And we have talked to many sports business journalists. They have said it's impossible. But I think that's ignoring fans and what they want. And I think with Adam Silver, he's out of touch. And I think with that comment he made about, the streaming comment, I think that's indicative. He is out of touch with what the fans want. And then I think you see that in terms of with LeBron, he is the face of the league. And physically, I don't think we can say he should retire because of what he's physically can do on the floor. I think he can present a lot of what he can do. That's based on what we saw in the Olympics. That was a motivated LeBron James in that Paris Olympics 2024. And as a result, we got some of the greatest basketball we have ever seen. And it wasn't even in the NBA. It was during the Olympics. So I think as a result of that, I think Adam Silver's responsible. And it's tough because he's delivering for the owners and they have, the richest media deal. But yet because of that, I don't think he's going to be held accountable. So, we can complain, but what's going to be the solution to this? Do you think eventually, could it be room for a new commissioner? Or do you think we have to just tolerate this with Adam Silver just based on, it's about money and greed and, gambling's becoming a lot more popular. The leagues make a lot more money off of that. And then with the TV deals, it's only going to, get exponentially more expensive, especially with these new arenas and everything, everything's increasing in price, and that's going to benefit Adam Silver as he's able to negotiate a higher rate. So I don't really see him being ousted as commissioner anytime soon. Do you guys think so? Or
No, no. I mean, if Gary Bettman and Roger Goodell can keep their jobs for as long as they have, I mean, I think it would take some sort of like collusion, or if he's in the Epstein files, or
God,
or the betting stuff goes way, blows up in a big way, point shaving or something like that. That might endanger him at some point where he's a scapegoat. But no, you've seen leagues do not like to change commissioners. It's a sign of weakness. And you just generally don't see that happen unless they are completely incompetent. Like you said, Justin, he's making money for them hand over fist. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, well said. I mean, money talks, especially to the owners who I believe like it would be, the board of owners that would have to vote him out or remove him. And that's a tough thing to do when you're making money hand over fist. And like I said earlier, like the more money does not necessarily mean a better product. Sometimes it does. There was a period of time there, where that coincided, but it's different nowadays. And another thing too is that Adam Silver, overwhelmingly, like he had David Stern's blessing, so to speak. He was like the heir apparent. They knew and they wanted that smooth transition.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunately, it just didn't work out, I think, as everyone envisioned. And also, David Stern is arguably he's up there with the greatest sports commissioners of all time. That's a really tough act to follow, So, in a sense, like human element, I feel for Adam Silver a little bit, but at the same time, like, please, can you connect? Like, you should be able to filter, what is just clearly internet outrage and then what is clearly like your devoted, caring fans asking you, please, like, make this product watchable. Like, can we do something about how the travel rule is written in the NBA and what we're watching with guys taking like 5 steps? And then we have like Coach Nick on Twitter, who is brilliant and I love him and he's a friend of the show, but he's justifying, like rightly so, by the rule book, like, hey, that Giannis play is technically maybe not a travel based on the rule. Like, okay, then can we do something to like simplify this and make this like sensible basketball again, that people can more uniformly agree on? I don't know. I guess the answer obviously is no, or it just falls on deaf ears. But it's a sad state of things. I don't know. And I can tell you guys, like Justin reading off what's coming in the All-Star game, to me, a lot of it, like, I think the coolest thing I heard was like the Harpers having a team. That's awesome. That's wholesome. 3-point contest, yeah, that's cool. Everyone likes, the money ball and all that stuff, but man, just overall, like big snooze for me. And I don't want to have to do research to understand like what the rules are in the All-Star game. It just, I don't know. It sounds like maybe a hot take or something like that, but
no, you're right.
I think there is a point where, okay, we're like really overanalyzing and overthinking this. Like, can we please just make this fun? And can we please also on the player side just have a genuine want to participate in this, which is also like why this format keeps changing over time. And again, it stronger direction, stronger leadership, I think, solves a lot of things that we're seeing.
I think so too. And I think his focus on expanding the league to Europe is a huge mistake when you don't have your house in order. Like, why are you creating this new NBA Europe when you have so many problems with this product?
And that's a good point. And those things that you mentioned, Justin, earlier, that you said very well in terms of the initiatives and the focus of Adam Silver, like your domestic NBA fans on a level, like, just really don't care about that. Like, yeah, I want the success of basketball. That's really cool if we get like a Serbian team that's playing and their community really likes them and all that. Great. I don't have a problem with that. But you're right. Like, could we just switch rules to be like FIBA basketball, which, as you pointed out, Justin, was much more entertaining over the Olympics? Like that's a pretty simple thing you could plan and execute for next season, that could maybe drastically improve the product. And also prepare our players for the Olympic game, which they are getting closer and closer to losing, even with our top talent. I don't know. There's so many issues here, and I feel disheartened by it. I do think shortening the seasons, I side on not knowing if that's the answer, just because of fans like me who like the records and things like that. I don't know. And I understand the thinking about like injuries going away. I don't know if that even fixes like the load management problem that we have, or if it's just like, okay, now instead of playing 55 games, players are playing 45 games out of I don't know. It's hard to say. I know that would be why the effort, like the genuinely good rationale is, hey, maybe we can have players healthier and playing a greater percentage of these games they should ideally be available for. But I just don't know if that problem goes away with a shortened season. And then like for fans like me who I look at those scoring records and things like that, I don't know. There's a case that matters a lot too, and we just, I don't know, need to be smarter about rotations, or just face that players, make your money while you can. There are just more soft tissue injuries these days.
Yeah, it occurred to me is Adam Silver is the Tim Cook of basketball commissioners. Like Tim Cook, everything's running fine. There's
Agreed.
making a lot of money, but there's not been any innovation that's been meaningful and built the fan base since the old commissioner.
Man, that's very good, Alan. That's very good.
Excellent.
Very good analogy there.
The other point I want to make is I feel like next year's All-Star game, it's going to have like Euro board game rules. You're going to have like a 20-page booklet explaining all the different rule sets for who plays who and when. So I guess it'll be fun for the board gamer audience.
No, that's an excellent point, because you look at Apple's technology, a lot of their innovations are stolen from Android. I mean, in terms of something that they usually refine a lot of ideas out there, but a lot of it's out of touch with the main consumer, like with the Apple Vision Pro. I mean, we've had Brian Tong on here twice, and he's been a big proponent of it. I've tested it out, in the Apple Store. It looks awesome, but the entry level is to get into it is $3,500. I mean, he's going to reasonably, even if you can't afford that, you'd rather spend that money on something else. And really, that tech has not been really introduced to your casual audience. And I think with the NBA, it's very fragmented, because I see some owners, like with Matt Ishbia with the Phoenix Suns, introduce like cheaper concessions. But yet, other owners that don't want to do that. And I think that would be a huge help in terms of having universal, I think that'd be awesome if you have cheaper concessions. I think even though if you have higher ticket prices, if you can justify the higher ticket prices, I think people would go. And I'm not saying, you should just jack up the ticket price for no reason, but if you have cheaper concessions where it's like, hey, $1 for a Coke, $2 for a pizza, and if the main players play, I think you might get people to justify that ticket price if you make it worth their while. But if you're just trying to gouge them for everything in terms of concessions, the players don't play, T-shirts, $100. I mean, do you really want to spend that money on that? And the product on the floor is mediocre. I mean, that's why like you guys were saying, you're going to see that erosion, take place over time.
So the product is the root, though. Like,
yeah, it is. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm not going to pay like $12 for a hot dog or whatever, but people will get their butts in the seats, and some people will buy those $12 hot dogs if
that's fair.
If the product is good and like a worthwhile draw. And I know in modern times there's more distractions and there's more options and things like that. Like, realistically, the NBA may have run its course in terms of being like the highest quality sports product out there, if it even ever was that. But I still think you could do things again just to make the product better. And maybe it's never like one of those seemingly like monoliths in the culture, because that's not how the culture is nowadays. But you can still get better, and we can get better effort than this.
Yeah, no, it's true. I think unfortunately where you're seeing with sports business is, people just being more greedy. And I think with Adam Silver, he has done that. And I think, you've talked about those influencers. I mean, if the product was popping, I think it wouldn't be too much of an issue. But honestly, when, you see the Washington Post fire their sports department and you're going to cater your coverage to, like you were saying, Alan, these influencers that don't know anything to a product that's mediocre. I mean, how's that going to elevate the NBA really? Instead of, journalists that, we talk to on a regular basis who cover these teams, who have jobs, by the way, who are not getting paid to cover these teams and provide great coverage. Where's their credential? Where's their fly out? The covered All-Star game.
Yeah.
Or how do they get flown out? To the people we talk to on a weekly basis compared to these influencers that, don't care, like you were saying, Al.
Well, yeah. And the other thing to bring up as far as like how out of touch I think Adam Silver is okay, we just watched Bad Bunny bring the house down. He's the number one streaming artist in the world. He played at the halftime of the Super Bowl. Got super high ratings. NBA All-Star game, we're getting ludicrous. I mean, come on, man. I mean, no offense, but he hasn't been relevant for like 20 years. They couldn't, I mean, they should have, I mean, Clips is right there, there are so many other artists. There are so many, other people who are very popular. It just seems like it's entertainment being run by someone who's woefully out of touch with the modern day person. So
yeah,
common running theme of our discussion today. It seems like just that out of touch element.
Yeah, agree.
And that's tough to fix because it comes from Adam Silver's side, and he's got a lot of power. He doesn't necessarily have to change, and the owners are making money. And if they're out of touch, but they're still like greatly profiting, I mean, what's the incentive here?
Yeah, look at the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, they have been very profitable, mediocre for years. So, and same thing with the Rockies here. Worst team in baseball, but great attendance. I mean, there you go. Well, we could spend a bunch of time talking about this topic, but I appreciate you, Alan and Matt, just talking hoops before the All-Star break kicks off here.